the winner and new lightweight champion of Ireland, Peter McDonagh.
After that night was over, I think my boxing career was over. We're getting two donkeys in a derby. No disrespect to these kids, but they ain't experienced like amateur boxers have. Tyson Fury, he mentally breaks him. He'd done it with Klitschko.
You was arrested for attempted murder.
Yeah.
What happened there, Peter, with that?
Like I say, Jeffrey Archer learned me to read and write while I was in jail. But the biggest thing in my life, and the hardest thing in my life to ask for, and I've asked for it now, and it's changed my life, is help.
With boxing, why boxing at the start? I mean, why did you choose that? You know, we're going back a little bit now, because going into, you know, we used to box and we would sing, we'd go reps and then we'd do a bit, but, you know, used to go Fisher there as well, you know, say, but some people it sticks with, some people it doesn't, right? You know, and to take the leap and go as far as you did to stick at it is not the norm. So there must have been something, Peter, you know, against all the stuff you was up against to really take you to go down that path. What was it though? What's the thing?
Well, firstly, I was going to school and getting beat up, so I had to learn how to fight. But I didn't learn how to fight to use the fighting, because I did use it once in the school. Knocked the kid's teeth out, kicked him in the face, you know, and wouldn't leave him alone because he said, you know, your mum's a drunk, you know, things are happening at home. I was wearing a pair of monkey boots. I don't even remember them in the olden days.
2 sizes too big.
Yeah, too big.
As long as they was 2 sizes too big, they was okay.
I was wearing shorts when it was raining outside, but I was from Connemara, so I was used to it.
You're used to it.
Yeah. That's why I started boxing. But again, that was that story which was in the book about the bullying. When I went back.
Yeah, was you bullied, Peter, and how bad was it?
The bullying was terrible. I was going into school every day, getting beaten, and not only just getting beaten, but I was mentally abused as well by people within the school. But I never turned around to be a bully. Like I said, I'd done that to that one kid that day, and Steve Iser said to me, if you go and bully anybody, that's where that story comes from, of put me in a ring, get me bashed up. If you go, you're not coming back to this gym ever again. And that sticks with me as well. So all these good qualities have stuck with me, what Steve Iser has told me. You know, I always said I had more trainers than JD Sports in boxing, but one teacher, and that was Steve Iser. Teacher in and outside the ring. For all the experiences, he was my role model, and whatever he said, I would have done.
I think we touch on this because it's important, because many people, they think they know, but they don't really understand, right? These kind of relationships, right? So look, just how important, you know, to someone like you, right, you know, who's turning pro, it's, you know, it's more than a game. I mean, it's the hardest game boxing for sure, but it's a lifestyle, it's family, it's everything. But how important really is a relationship like that? You know, I see how big it is in your life. Explain to people how that works.
Well, firstly, you know, you look at social media, look at Instagram. They look like the sun shining when they're in a picture, but really the rain is pouring down on these people. And people are building a full CV on these platforms, in my opinion. Not only, I'm getting round to what we're going to talk about here, but it's the same as professional boxing. You watch someone on a pair of pom-poms, I call them. I don't call them pads, they're pom-poms, and they're doing all this silly pad work and all that. Mayweather pad work. I've been out there and I've worked with Floyd Mayweather, so he don't do that while there's no cameras around. But you explain it to people, they don't listen. Guess what? He comes out the other day on Instagram, he's turned around and said, I don't do that. I throw a 1, a 2 and a left hook like everybody else. You know, so the difference is with a lot of these people that are going pro with fighters now, and they're getting pro licenses and all that sort of stuff, and it works with the British Boxing Board of Control. It works with everyone within professional boxing. When you go to an amateur club and you get the fundamentals and the foundations of some older man who's in the gym, he's been doing it his whole life, he loves the game. Don't go pro because he says it's an horrible game and all that sort of stuff. You don't listen because your dream's to turn professional. You turn professional with someone that don't know what a foundation is, don't know what a fundamental is, don't even know what life is. Some of them are even younger than what the fighters are, and they're giving them advice. They've got world-class fighters, but by the time they've ruined them, their careers could be over, and they could have been a lot better fighters than what they are. So for me, you know, I think it's important to go around, speak to different trainers. You know, there's not many teachers in the UK. We've got loads of trainers, cheerleaders, backslappers, whatever you want to call them. But there's not many good teachers in the UK who should be working with professional fighters. Professional boxing is in the state it's in now because broadcasters and promoters work together. I don't think you should have a broadcaster and a promoter working together. I think there should be a man in between the broadcaster and the promoter. So with a promoter, if he works with a broadcaster, he's going to bring in his own pundits, he's going to bring in his own commentary for the man he's investing in, right? So the broadcasters then are ripped off in that sense. The promoter puts the deal to the broadcaster, so the broadcaster turns around and says, "Oh yeah, we'll have that fight, we'll make that fight." Then you've said it's great. If you've got someone in the middle of that goes, "Hold up a minute, that fight don't go," you know, people ain't going to want to watch that. People are not going to be interested in that. You know, make this fight should happen. That's what can make boxing good again. We're getting YouTube boxing flying through the scale now due to we're getting two donkeys in a derby. No disrespect to these kids, but they ain't got experience like amateur boxers have. Yeah, so it's entertainment, but it's good because we never know who's going to win. In professional boxing, we're getting a thoroughbred against a donkey, left, right and centre. Every now and again we get a 50-50 fight we get excited about. Probably 5 fights a year we all get excited about. So for me, if they start matching people up in the right ways, professional boxing can be good again. Do you know what I mean?
You was a 3-weight Irish champion, right? You know, so you walk to walk there, people, you talk to talk. You know, people who have an idea about boxing would know just how not easy that is, right, to do something like that, right? Now, that's you're kind of controversial now, a little bit, right, in the right ways about the state of boxing, where it is now. We've just heard a little bit. So what do you really think about that? Do you think it's because you was a ticket seller?
Yeah.
It's one thing about you was a ticket seller as well, right, from the start. So where do you think boxing's going now? Do you think it's falling down, or what can revive it? Has it changed? You know, we've got MMA now and all this stuff. What do you think it is with the fight?
I think what's happened with it, people are confused whether they're influencers or they're boxers. Yeah, and you know, with their social media, but they're looking at influencers because they think, hold up a minute, they're getting this following and I need this to try and build it as a boxer. But I think boxers should be built on their CV, what they've done as an amateur. You know how they move through, and boxing is an art. It's not a punch up. The YouTube stuff's more of a punch up. It's more of a brawl. And
to be clever, it's a lot of stuff. It's not a punch up.
I'm good friends with Mams Taylor who runs YouTube boxing. Yeah, who runs Misfits. You know, lovely guy. And he says, I just want to see a tear up because that's what the crowd want, entertainment. And listen, these don't know the noble art of boxing because they ain't been doing it long enough. Yeah. You've got to be doing it year after year after year. Yeah. And what we're finding is with a lot of these pro boxers now, they're getting lost in this other side of stuff. So they're taking away the noble art of boxing. Do you know what I mean? Boxing is about hit and not be hit, surely. But people just want to see punch ups all the time. Listen, if you get two good fighters in there, you're going to get a great fight. You know what I mean? But if you're going to put a thoroughbred in, as I keep saying, with a donkey, we're just going to get one-sided fights. We've got boxer fans, not boxing fans. So what they do is 3,000 people go to watch a fighter. When that fighter gets flattened, they walk away from boxing because they realise what boxing is. If it was good fights from top to bottom, like we get in the white collar, you get good fights from top to bottom. You get the odd one but we're not going to match every one of them, great, are you? Yeah. So it just needs to be done better. But like I say, I'm going to keep myself in my own lane now. And the fighters I work with in professional boxing, I'm going to bring them the way I believe is the right way. And it's definitely not going to be 20 for learning. They're not going to be having 20 to learn and 2 to earn to get knocked out because they won't get past that point. The Americans, when you look at them, or the Usyks, the Lomachenko's, even the Joe Joyces of the world, they've been brought them through the right way in my opinion. I thought Tyson Fury brought him through the right way. Yeah. Cole Frotch brought him through the right way.
Yeah, you see the difference.
You see the difference, yeah. Listen, you don't listen. We still make it a 60-40 fight, but we show they're in fights. You know, the problem is we're getting them 95-5.
The truth is, you know, you overcome a lot bigger stuff outside the ring than what you ever did in the ring. But while we're talking boxing, right, let's go to a bit of the history of it. This is you know, amazing belt, this Peter. I mean, there's so many of these around that are not right. Right, we see that. You know, it's all good. Yeah. This is a real one, right? You know, there's a massive history behind this. You know, it's a genuine WBC. But look, you want to tell us about it, Pete? Tell us about the history.
Yeah, obviously, it's been going. It's one of the oldest belts out there, the WBC. I was in training for a WBC International title fight, and I collapsed. I was at the darts, funny enough, with John McDonagh, the MC. I was with Michael Van Gerwen. I was drinking Guinness. I mean, mate, he was in EastEnders, Tony Discipline. He was an actor in EastEnders, and I just went bang. I went over, and it was literally like Only Fools and Horses. Do you know Only Fools and Horses when he goes through the bar? Yeah. And my mate started laughing. They all started laughing. He picked me up off the floor. He said, "You messing around?" I only had a couple of pints of Guinness, and I went, "No." So I don't know what happened. And as he let go of me again, bang, I've gone over again. They rushed me to hospital, and they told me, "You're lucky you ain't had a stroke, but you've had a brain tumour." I said, "That's great news, isn't it?" And yeah, I ended up having a brain tumour, so I had to pull out of the fight for the WBC. And a couple of years later, Mauricio Sullivan got in touch with me, the president of WBC, and they said, "We want to honour you a WBC belt." And the only other man to be honoured this belt was Ruben Hurricane Carter. If you watch the film Hurricane Carter, he done a life for murder, which he didn't do. He got acquitted of, and he got one of these belts. So this is a very important belt to me. And not only is it an important belt to me through boxing, because I don't say my biggest achievements have come from boxing. My biggest achievements is life of stuff that I've been through. As you say, the resilience. Sometimes I wonder at myself, I pinch myself and think, how did I get through that? How did I get through this? Yeah. Boxing's always, obviously a blessing to, you know, the self-harming side of things that kept me on the straight and narrow. Obviously had me in and outs and bits and pieces. But that's why I've got my sister on it here, who I lost. My dad, that's the president, former president, Mauricio Sullivan's dad. My brother Liam, who I've lost now, and my two daughters, Shannon and Marnie. So yeah, everything, this represents life to me. When they said about, you know, they did honour me to it in boxing and life. So to me, it's more life, and I believe I'm a champion in life. I'm a world champion in life. Forget the boxing side of things. I'll never become a world champion, and if my nan had balls, it'd be my granddad. So I don't try and pursue that. I would have been that person. I weren't that person. So, but I'm a world champion in life, and what I want to get, what I want, my book, hopefully one day my drama series or my film, what I want it to be for people to see is be inspirational to people and inspiring to people.
Absolutely. We've got another belt here as well. The Irish one, you know, and that's an amazing story, and it's so rare. Yeah. It's so rare that, you know, it's historic. Peter, thanks for bringing it. Thank you, Ed. Thank you. You know, we got this one here, the Irish belt. You want to tell us about that one?
I mean, this has got many stories behind it. The Irish title. Firstly, it was front pages of the newspapers, tabloids for about 3 or 4 weeks in Ireland. It's not that hard to get front pages in Ireland. They put anything on the front pages. I've been on the front pages for boxing, knowing Daniel Kinahan. I was so proud when I won this because they played the Irish national anthem in Gaelic, and I see tears come to my dad's eyes. And my dad's never been to watch me fight, bar once. This was years later.
It's quite a thing, yeah.
It was a big thing for me to become champion of my own country. So when people win the British titles there, this is mine as an Irish, winning it as an Irish champion. But it's got stories like Uri Geller worked with me for this, done a lot of mine work with me for this. He's not far, it goes just up the road here in Sunderland-on-Thames. Not only that, I flew back on a private jet, and it was a man called Patrick Rockers, Falcon 2006. It was only about 3 weeks old. Bill Clinton was on the plane about 3 weeks before I was on it. So, you know, after the fight, told it was a fix, it was a betting scam. I was 125 to 1. And I always remember at the press conference turning around saying, you want to give a three-legged horse 125 to 1. You know, but again, what you find in that fight was Michael Gomez lost it mentally. Not physically, he lost it mentally. And
is that what really, look, they all come, you know, so they suspended the purses at the start, which they give you back, they released them, right? You know, and Steve Collins, I think it was, who was narrating, and he said, oh, you know, I smell a rat. I mean, he's not in there. It must have looked weird, but it's just a thing, like, mentally, is that what happened? Did Gomez, because he said after, I just made a point blank decision not to come out of that fight, but to come out of boxing. Was that what happened there?
Oh, well, let's rewind a few years. Steve Collins, the same man that fought the Dark Destroyer, the man with the biggest heart in the world, who fell over on his ankle and said his ankle's gone. Yeah. That fight was very, very suspect, wasn't it? So I'm not being funny. If someone's had a mental breakdown in the ring, yeah, like Oliver McCall did against Bruno, yeah, that's what happened. But guess what? He come back 2 years later and dropped Khan twice when he boxed Emir Khan, Michael Gomez. So no, I believe I mentally broke him. And for me, I think that's what Tyson Fury does with every one of his opponents before he gets them in the ring. He mentally breaks them. He's done it with Klitschko.
He comes from a long line of fighting men. You know, some of his family, they're you know, they're great people, but they come with that lineage, right?
Yeah, definitely.
They're brought through the right way.
But not only that, this is why this brings a lot of history to me as well, you know, in my own life, because 8 months, my wife was 8 months pregnant with Shannon, my first child, and she got diagnosed with melanoma. They thought she had melanoma, so she was told she was going to have the operation before she even had Shannon, which she had. The operation, they found that it was a melanoma. But I was going through this in training camp, so I thought, there's no way Michael Gomez is going to beat me when I'm going through this, you know, and my mind is totally focused. It was the only fight that I ever had 12 weeks training for. I was absolutely 100% focused for the fight, and there was no one going to beat me that night. It was my night, and I always say that everybody has a night. Ricky Hatton's night was when he fought Costa Tszyu. I say it to Ricky, I say that was your night.
Costa Tszyu, yeah.
I think he'd have beat anybody. I think he'd have beat anybody that night. Yeah, anyone that night. It's one of them nights you have. After that night was over, I think my boxing career was over. I think boxing was leaving me by that point. I know it's mad. I went on to win another 2 Irish titles, but I think I was just treading water at that time. And every time something bad was going on in my life, I was going back to boxing. And maybe like people go to alcohol, people go to drugs, people go to... I always found going back to boxing.
So you use boxing like that. Yeah. That's interesting, because you say, look, you know, for you, when you have a problem, you'd go in there to take the punishment, as it were, right? Yeah. You know, which is a kind of a rare bird in a way. But was that what it was really like for you?
Yeah, I think that's what it was, and I think it was, if I weren't doing that, it would be madness on the street, and the madness on the street would be a lot dangerouser than what the madness would, in the sense of, I don't think I could have controlled myself, and we'll get to that point in a minute, because it was a real dark part of my life as well, because when, like I say, this is another history, this brings back a bit of history, is the man called Patrick Rocker. He took his own life maybe a year after this. He'd sponsored me at the time, and like I say, every time something was going good in my life, something changed in my life. Yeah, it changed in my life. And Patrick Rocker's sister is now married to Van Morrison. So Van Morrison's his brother-in-law. So, but every time something good come, something bad would happen after it. And I think that's why I started to channel my brain. And people would go to me, Pete, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Like, you could be really successful in what you've done, like what you do. But I don't think I ever was thinking like that. I was just thinking, oh, look, I'm going to do this, and then something else might happen. And like I say, within the book, you'll see it. Things happened, and then I went back to boxing. Things happened, I went back to boxing. Did I really love it anymore? I don't know. I think it was a love-hate relationship, you know. Yeah. Another thing I'll say before it slips my mind is, that's why I think I'm like that now. I'm very, very physically attached to boxing. I'm very, very emotionally attached to boxing. So I do go deep with boxing in every aspect, because it's not an easy game and people can get hurt in that ring. I've saved people's lives, and that's another thing for another day. I've saved people's lives in boxing and said, listen, get him to the hospital because he could be in a bad way. They've had bleeds on the brain. How do I know that? I must know that because I must feel it.
Yeah, just
you know?
like that, you just know, don't it? It's a real,
That's IQ as well. That's IQ due to, I've been around it my whole life. That is what my life is.
You really get a feel for, for this stuff, right? And you're around it all the time, right? It's you're it, and it's you. But look, there's just as much controversy, turbulence has happened outside the ring as inside the ring with you. You was arrested for attempted murder.
Yeah.
What happened there, Peter, with that? What happened?
It's just something happened in Bermondsey, Blue Anchor Lane. It was an altercation, like a bit of a fight. I was there, but they knew I never had nothing to do with it, the old Bill. They banged me up. I like people to know the way how I survived it and how I went to where I went to, and I believe I come out a better person. I ended up getting nicked for attempted murder. The man ended up dying in the end. Wrong place at the wrong time, as they say. Ended up with doing a year in Belmarsh. I thought, right, I'm in prison now. I was double cat A at one point, so you know what double cat A is about.
What was prison like for you? I mean, I know this side of the fence as well, right? But what was it like for you?
Sounds crazy, but very easy, because I was very, very disciplined within my boxing. Very much like boxing. It was just like being in a training camp. I kept myself wrapped around clever people, intelligent people. Like I say, Jeffrey Archer learned me to read and write while I was in jail.
So what was the thing with Jeffrey Archer? How did you get to meet him? There's a lot of controversy around this guy. Yeah. I've heard stories, right?
Yeah.
So what was it like with him that time in there?
Yeah, no, it was. I was on the hot plate. I was number one on the hot plate. The governor of a job, best job in there.
Number one on the hot plate, good job.
Yeah, and he come up to get his bit of dinner, and he'd just come in from. We knew already he was coming in from Belmarsh, due to being all over the news because we was watching it before we were serving up dinner. And he come up and give him a, like the screw said, like that. He was standing there and like little.
That was using the shit joint.
Yeah. Vegetarian.
If I remember rightly, yeah.
So it was, how can I say it? It was, I could see him, he was standing there scrawny, looked like, he didn't know his life had just turned upside down. I said, what do you want, Jeff? Like that. So he said, can I have that chicken like that? Right, I said, don't worry, boom. Give him a bit of chicken.
Sorted him out.
Yeah, sorted him out. But do you know what? Do you know why I sorted him out? Not who he was. Yeah. If any man was done it. Yeah, I felt a moment because I felt he was struggling. He was struggling.
Yeah,
he was struggling.
I'll help him a bit, yeah. No, we know what that's like. Right?
He was struggling. You know what I mean? Maybe my first day in Nick, I was the same. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Someone might have felt it off me. You know what I mean? But it's nice to be nice, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I don't know him from Adam, so he's gone down and they think you'll lose your job, McDonagh. You do that again, like that, and you know what I mean? Sorry, Gov. One of them ones. You know what I mean? So a few days later, he come down. He said, any chance you could get someone to iron one of my shirts? So I said, yeah, but I said, you've got to do something in return. And he said,
say, hold on, there's a few butlers on the toes. I'm not quite sure which one's going to suit you. Right,
I said, yeah.
Right, so what did you say?
So I said, you've got to do something in return for me.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll get that done for you. I'll get it up to your cell and we'll have a chat. So anyway, I've got something to do his shirt, right? Called me Peter Press. That's what he called me, Peter Press in his book, right? I didn't do it, someone else done it. But the shirt, sort it out for us, yeah. And lucky it didn't go missing because it was from German Street, wherever it is. So I mean, so it's a
nice one.
Yeah, nice one.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
Wow.
So because Mary's coming up and the kids are coming up to see me, his wife was coming up to see him. So again, helping someone out, make him look smart for the visit. So at least they don't see he's struggling as much as he is. Anyways, went up to the cell.
I just have to ask this. I take it he didn't know how to use an iron then, Peter?
He probably didn't he? He wouldn't have been in control of the iron though, would he have? It's because I got the cleaners and all that, so listen, sort that out for us. You know, we did the laundry.
It's one of the first things I learnt. I think, wow, he's good at ironing. Yeah, because I learned it in there.
Yeah,
I had to do it.
Yeah.
Right, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I learned how to wash dishes in there. I know that much.
All of that kind of stuff, right? You know? Yeah.
So, so I said to him, so I went up there, he said, oh, hi sir. And I said, hey, look, there's your shirt. And he said, I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm making money while I'm in prison. So I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm writing a diary. So he was writing his first diary, which he said, do you mind me putting you in it? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, no. But I said, you've got to learn me to read and write now. And not only did he learn me to read and write, he read a bit of my case for me as well. So while I was on the remand. Do you get what I mean? So, prison. Do you know the hardest part of prison, Stephen? What I found the hardest part of prison is you're in there with a lot of scumbags.
Yeah, it's who you're with. You can be in the worst place and have good people around you, and it's a real ball. It really is. It's bright, you know. Or you can be in a fancy place. You're getting like most of the stuff that you can get. And people's not good. It's like a fucking hell on earth. You know, you want out of there, right? You know.
Yeah, maybe it's on the street as well, didn't it? Maybe you go.
Yes.
You go and have a night in a restaurant, and you could be around a load of idiots, and you think, I don't want a beer. Do you know what I mean? And you could be around a load of nice people sitting in a room having a cup of tea, couldn't you?
Interesting story about Jeffrey Archer. And you got out of there a year later, right?
Yeah.
So what happened then?
Yeah, so I got out of there, I got not guilty. But as you know, in Belmarsh, they don't let you out straight away. They put you back in the cells to make sure there's nothing else on you. That was horrible because I was watching people coming in, getting lifed off and crying their eyes out, walking into the same cell. And I know I'm free, but I'm trying to keep it within inside. Do you know what I mean? So that was another real experience. I don't like, you know, when people talk about, this experience when I was in here and that. I think it's all rubbish because we all know what happens in prisons. And do you know what I mean? I think promote the stuff which feels like an experience to you that helped you in life or can help others in life. I got out there, I remember getting in a black taxi and I remember walking out and the murder squad said to me, don't worry about that, we'll catch you on the next one. I said, no chance, I'm not coming back here. Like that. And got in a black taxi and as I was driving, I was, whoa, slow down. Mate, you told them to speed up now, didn't you, when you're out because there's slow black taxis. Anyways, and I got home, I weren't home long and I was watching the telly and I went, whoa, like that. It's when the Twin Towers, when the planes went into the Twin Towers.
I remember it. Yeah, I remember it. I was out there, of course, you know, I was in the East End and I remember when I see the first one, I said, have a look at this, what's that? And I watched the next one, crash, it comes straight in, right? With the glory, there's always the other side of it. There's always the pain, you know. I mean, for me, I definitely see, you know, if you're going to do great things in your life, with your life, and you reach out for greatness in something, this is definitely par of the course. It seems that great people who do that, they have a lot of adversity and they have a real sprinkling. It's all in there, you know. You see the trauma with the glory and the brightness comes the dark stuff, sometimes in equal measure, right? You know, it's certainly been like that for you, Peter, because, you know, of all the achievements and, you know, having to overcome all of them fights, overcome yourself to get what you needed to get, first and foremost, then one of the hardest battles was, you know, when you had the brain tumour. So, you know, I talk a lot, you know, about resilience now, obviously with the resilience code and all that. We're helping a lot of people, around the world. So, tell us, you know, for someone like you who has done so much and has had to find and know resilience time and time again so much, what does resilience mean to you and how does that actually work, Peter?
It weren't until I had my operation. I lost my hearing in my left ear, so I'm totally deaf in my left ear. I've lost my balance in my left hand side. But let's forget that. I lost a self-harming tool in boxing. Something I never asked for in my life. You can go around to anybody in life who I've become friends with, associates with, whatever you want to call it. The biggest thing in life I've gone through resilience on my own, but the biggest thing in my life and the hardest thing in my life to ask for, and I've asked for it now, and it's changed my life, is help. I've asked for help. I'm now working with a psychologist, Betsy. She's unbelievable, and I've opened up to her about everything. And you know yourself, we keep going through life thinking, that's going to bounce off me, that's going to bounce off me, that's going to bounce off me. You think you're bulletproof, but in the end, them shots bring you down. And that's exactly what happened with me. So it's easy for people to talk to people and say to them, yeah, no, what you should do is go out for a run. What you should do is you should do this, you should do that. The best way in life to get through anything is to talk, in my opinion. And Bob Hoskins always said, it's good to talk. And it's so true. It's so true, because a problem halved can be a problem solved. And people don't like to open up, you know. And what I like about what we spoke about today is we ain't sat here and blabbered on about mental health. We ain't blabbered on about, oh yeah, because I think the word of mental health is overexposed, overused. I think a lot of people use it too much. And if they want likes on Instagram, they use mental health. If they want, do you know what I mean? I think people use it as a calling card. Yeah. You know, that's my honest opinion. And I think just being real and talking to people, we're living, sorry to say youngsters, but we're living in an ice cube world. Yeah, you say something and they melt. The difference is when we was growing up, I think it was all about respect and it was all about a bit of a fear factor. And as much as we're fearless, I think we've got fear, you know?
Oh, look, there's definitely fear there. You know, I mean, people say, I should be more crazy than anyone. I do things that even crazy people wouldn't do. But, you know, there was still a drive of fear there. There was still
respect.
The insecurity. Yeah. It's not that I didn't feel fear. I lived with fear all my life, pretty much. My response to it may have been different. How I approached that, you know. But even with the resilience code, Pete, you know, you're right what you're saying about the mental health thing, because look, you know, especially males, we have a kind of a wiring, and you know, my experiences, and we have amazing people on that platform, is mental health is just a word. Yeah. What we do on there is very bespoke, tailored help. Yeah, yeah. A lot of the stuff may be the same, but for us, this is very personal, right? So the way that's set up, it needs to be personal to us. And you know what we need as well? We need not to dress things up. We need to be with people who will stand and fall with us, who's going to tell us the truth, but who's going to support us, you know who we can be okay with, to be ourselves, like you're saying, to open up with the real stuff. Yeah. What's important, like, you know, is the people that you're with when you have to navigate some of this stuff, right? You know.
But I mean, I think a lot of the time, when I say about it's good to talk, a lot of the time you put your back against the wall and you don't talk to anyone, do you? Yeah. See what it is. I've always been a people's person, but for that 5 years, I literally, because your mind starts playing tricks. I don't think that person likes me. I don't think this. I don't think that. And your mind starts playing tricks with you. So you just back yourself against the wall and then you don't end up speaking to anyone. But guess what? We're all just bits of Lego. We're all bits of Lego that fall apart every now and again. And we need to just put them bits back on. You know, that's the way I see it. And what you've got there with the resilience code as well, which I think is a beauty, and this just played in my mind just now, is if you have a bespoke thing like resilience code, you can have certain people, you can go, right, we'll put him with him because he will help him build. So for me now, working with young fighters, I've just got an unbelievable young 20-year-old, good fighter, top fighter. He was a top amateur. He's a good fighter. But I'm there to be his mentor. I'm there to be his mentor as well. You know what I mean? And listen, fighters are like that. They're a little bit here, a little bit there, aren't they? That's how fighters are. But I'm not just going to be his teacher.
It takes more than that.
I want to be his mentor, and I want to go through his life with him as well. First things I asked him, what is it like with how are you getting on with your wife? What's it like with your kids? What's this? Because I think it's important to know all that. because you need all the wiring. You need all the wiring.
All these things are relevant, you know, and it's very, if you don't know that stuff and you're not real around people, you'll certainly know because the wheels will fall off.
You put 2-3 years into that kid though, and all of a sudden the wheels fall off. Why don't you ask them questions at the start? Maybe it's intruding sometimes, but it's being real, it's being honest.
And stuff, look, you know, there's just so much evidence, and this is the thing that it doesn't really matter how dark we may have been or how far we may have fallen. It can be turned around with a bit of engineering, which is what we do. Look at Tyson, Amato.
Yeah.
Look at where he was. He was in trouble as a young kid on the street. He had no future. He had nothing. But with that time, with that care, with that consistency, with that knowledge, to keep him, invested, really invested in the right way in him. Look at the amazing things.
Platforms are great. YouTube platforms in general are great. Yeah, if people talk real on them and talk honest on them. The problem is with most podcasts, right? I can't help myself because I watch them. I do my research on them. I've only got to ring a couple of people and say, oh, well, did he box or did this happen, or did that, and it's all done. But if you just talk real and be honest, yeah, people put legs on things, but I understand that it makes something better sometimes. If we tell a story now and again, it makes it better. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, there was 10 of them there, now there's 20. You know what I mean? But when people are saying, you know, I've shot 8 geezers, you know, I shot 2 police officers, I've got 12 years. Well, I've done my maths, mate. You get a lot longer than 12 years. So let's be open. Let's talk real. I'm on social media. Let social media be a platform where people can talk real and just talk honest to people. Let's not make it all fake all the time and just be honest. And people say, yeah, but people love you the way you are because you talk the way you are. I do think I've made a downfall with it sometimes, but guess what? I am who I am. I'm never going to change.
Look, you know, you're so right, and I mean, absolutely, you know, but I'll tell you something, you know, I've always, you know, and I've known, you know, I've been doing this for a long time now, and whether it's whatever it is, a song, an interview, a film, whatever, audiences, real people, they can't be cheated. They respond to authentic stuff, Peter.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because we know it here, all right? So, you know, it is about bringing the real stuff. And you know what, look, it's been a pleasure to have you here today, really. You've got an amazing story. You know, like I say, and I have to say it, of all the people I've interviewed, of all the people out there, yours and mine have to be the most similar. Yeah. Just because of some of the things that went on, especially in the early days, right? Yeah. What is the message that you would give to people out there that you've really learned and taken in your life to help them on their journey, Peter?
Well, one of the biggest learning curves which I've learned, it took me a long time to learn it. I'm still learning as we speak, but everybody's different. Someone could have a gas bill or an electric bill, and someone else could have someone die in their family, and they could take it exactly the same way. So I think it's just, you know, if you've got a problem, open up to people, you know, open up to someone. Even if it's a stranger, open up to them. Because that's what I believe helped me through. And listen, don't ever feel like embarrassed to ask for help. We all need a bit of help in life. And I've never ever thought I'd be the person to ever be saying that. Because I was one of them. If I was going on a flat road, the M25, stick 10 speed bumps on it. Because I didn't ever want my life to be smooth. But today, I hope my life does carry on as smooth as it can be. I'm already on my second book because when I was writing the end of my first book, I went back to the Royal Marsden. They've told me my tumour's grown back. I'm a man that's going to have to fight my whole life, but I'm still here. Maybe I'm here to talk like this because I'm here to help other people, you know, because I'm a living proof of every day you've got to keep fighting for something else to keep moving forward. You know, I've lost a brother to suicide, so I've got the handbook in losing a brother to suicide, and the person that takes their life, they can call them selfish, they can call them whatever they want to call them. But let me tell you something. To leave your family behind, these people have got to live with that. And it's the hardest thing in the world to live with someone that's hung themselves, because you always ask why. Why did they do it? You know, and that'll always be a question which I'll have in my head. Did he do it because of me? Did he do it because of that? Did he do it because of this? But so for me, please think before you go and try something which is not the right thing to do. We all know people say it's an easy way out, but I do believe they're on a different frequency. I think they're on a different frequency in life. I think they've made their mind up and they want to do it, but you'll always wake up tomorrow and it'll be a better day.
No. There's one thing that I've learned of all the people I met, it doesn't matter who they are, wherever they are, is that all of us, Pete, we're here and we have a message to give the world. Yes. Whether that's being an architect and doing buildings, painting a picture, being a champion boxer, whatever it is, it's that gift. It's kind of down to us to uncode that a little bit as well. But look, thanks for coming on the platform.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers.
Amazing story, really, and the book is there, guys. Get it. You won't be disappointed. And look, I really wish you well with everything, my brother. And thanks for coming on.
Nice one. Thank you.